The iron gates slammed in my face on my son's wedding day, and the string quartet stopped mid-note like someone yanked the power. Security turned a key, the lock clicked, and I was left outside in my best suit, with a certified check worth $55 million burning a hole in my inside pocket. Tell me this. Have you ever watched your whole life close with a single casual click? For a heartbeat, the world froze. White roses lined the walk, doves rustled in their cages. Sunlight flashed off champagne flutes. Then Benjamin, my kid, my pride, my partner in every hard year, stared at me like I was a stranger who'd wandered in off the street. Rage where there should have been nerves. "Don't call me Dad," he said, and something in me went quiet. Small detail you should know. Behind him stood Isabella, his mother, the woman who set our baby carrier on my kitchen table 26 years ago and walked out. She gave me this tiny little pageant wave like we were in on a joke together. We weren't. "Security," Benjamin said, never looking away from me. "Remove him." I held up both hands. "Son, give me 60 seconds. That's all I'm asking. Don't call me that. You tried to hurt her. You poisoned me against her. You're using me as your retirement plan." Retirement plan. I almost laughed and it came out like a cough. The gates closed, the key turned, and every witness I cared about, co-workers, neighbors, men who'd watched me show up to every overtime shift so my kid could have new cleats, just stood there stunned. If it were you, what would you have done? Let me take you back, because the beginning explains the end. My name is Richard Brooks. I became a father at 19. Not with a white picket fence and a nursery paint sample from the hardware store. More like a thunderclap in a grocery store break room. I stocked shelves saved for community college, shared a tiny apartment with two guys who left pizza boxes like breadcrumbs. Isabella was beautiful and allergic to ordinary, and for 3 months we were fireworks and late-night plans. Then a test on a bathroom counter, and everything changed. We tried to build something. I did anyway. I bought a second-hand crib, painted it white, kicked out. My roommates stretched every dollar to diapers and formula. I told myself that love plus stubbornness could hold any roof in place if I just braced hard enough. On a Tuesday morning when Benjamin was 6 months old, Isabella walked in, set the car seat on my kitchen table, and put the diaper bag beside it like she was returning library books. "I can't do this," she said. "He's your son now." No tears, no yell, just a decision, neat and sharp. She'd gotten into a college overseas. Her parents didn't know about the baby. She was leaving next week, and that was that. The door closed. A taxi pulled away. Silence. Yeah, that happened. The strap squeaked when I lifted him. He smelled like warm milk and laundry soap. I made a promise I didn't know how to keep. "I won't leave you. I'll figure this out. We'll be okay." You know what I mean. The first year was a war whispered through thin walls. I slept in bursts, one eye on him, one eye on the clock. I worked days, watched him nights, paid a neighbor with too many kids and not enough hands. I missed class deadlines, then tuition deadlines, then the idea of college altogether. I wore the same work shirt until my manager quietly handed me a new one and pretended it was a spare he found in the back. Humiliation has a way of arriving with a gentle voice. Then one evening, when Benjamin was 3, fate did something I still don't have a word for. We found a wallet on the sidewalk. Nice leather heavy, stuffed with cash that could fix rent and groceries and shoes with holes in the toes. There was a driver's license, Vincent Coleman. I'm not going to pretend I didn't think about it. I did. But I looked at my son's shoes and imagined the lesson in my hands. We walked 8 blocks to a glass and steel building with security guards who looked at my grocery store uniform like it didn't fit the lobby. 10 minutes later, an older man came down in a suit that probably cost more than my car. He counted his money, looked at me like I had grown a third arm and said, "You returned this." I told him it was the right thing. He nodded, slow, thoughtful, and asked us upstairs. His name was Vincent. He had lost his wife to cancer and both of his children to a drunk driver. He built a company because grief needs something to do with its hands. In an office bigger than my apartment, he gave my son juice and cookies, asked me about my life, and listened like my answers mattered. Then he said, "I want to sponsor your education, Richard. Tuition, books, childcare, all of it." I tried to refuse. He gently refused my refusal. "You already paid for this," he said, "with the way you held your son while you handed me back my wallet." I went to school at night, took exams with coffee for dinner, and graduated by holding my breath through 1,000 small storms. Vincent showed up to preschool events like a proud grandfather. He taught me basic investing, told stories about his kids that started bright and ended quiet. He never tried to replace anyone. He just stood with us. Here's the twist. Years later, cancer came for Vincent too, and in a hospital room that smelled like lemon cleaner and bravery. He took my hand and said, "I have no one to leave it to. When I go, everything goes to you." After taxes and the gifts he'd already planned, that meant $55 million. I sat in the attorney's office with my hands sweating through the folder and tried to remember how to breathe. Now, if you're thinking I rushed home and told Benjamin, I didn't. Not because I didn't trust him, because I wanted him to know who he was without a safety net so thick he couldn't feel the ground. I decided to tell him on the happiest day of his life with a story to go with it. The day he married a woman who looked at him like a safe place and he looked back like home. Then he met Sophia. Kind eyes, sharp mind, a laugh that took the edges off a long day. We did the whole wedding planning thing like we were building a tiny city. Cake tastings, tux fittings, flower debates. Riverside Manor caught all of us. Sunlit windows, roses, a private hotel walkway that made the whole place feel like a movie set. I contributed to the budget like a man with careful savings, not a man who could have bought the building twice. The morning of the wedding, I picked up a certified check, checked the pocket of my suit 3 times, and drove to the venue with a heart so full it hurt. Now back to that gate. Because on the night before the wedding, my phone rang. Dad Benjamin said, voice tight, "My mother is here." Isabella had materialized at the hotel like a ghost with credentials. He wanted to hear her out. He wanted closure. I warned him. He thanked me. I stared at my suit on the door, slept in 30-minute slices, and told myself he knew me. He did. Until he didn't. The morning at Riverside Manor looked hand-delivered from a postcard. Guests waved, my co-workers slapped my shoulder. The quartet tuned. Benjamin appeared in his tux. Perfect. And his face was a stranger's. Behind him, Isabella's smile said checkmate. He accused me of hurting her, of twisting his mind against her, of using him as a retirement plan, and then he signaled the guards. The gate closed. The lock clicked. The doves rustled. Somewhere a kid dropped a program, and everyone watched it flutter like a white flag. Pattern interrupt. I didn't chase, I didn't shout. I told the people who loved me to go home because I couldn't stand there and be a spectacle. I drove back to my apartment, took the check out of my pocket, put it in a drawer, closed the drawer, and stared at a mug of coffee until it went cold. Mini call to action in your own head. Stick around, because what happened next will blow your mind. Grief isn't always dramatic. Most days it's just heavy. I went to work and did my numbers like muscle memory. Gregory from the office tried to push me toward counseling. I'm fine, I lied. He said I was fooling both of us. Nights were the worst. I'd open my phone, pull up social media, and see pictures of a wedding I wasn't in. Benjamin laughing with friends, Sophia glowing. Isabella framed like a long-lost hero. Comments full of hearts and champagne emojis. No mention of the father of the groom. I put the phone face down and sat in the dark. Then Charlotte called. We'd met at a building mixer years back. Widow, 4 kids, a steady presence that makes people stop holding their breath. I heard something happened. She said, I'm coming over. I told her not to. She said she was in the car. She showed up with soup and bread and fruit like a field medic who knows kitchens. When did you last eat a real meal? She asked. I shrugged. She set a pot on the stove and said, Tell me everything. So I did. The whole story. The car seat on my kitchen table, the lost wallet, the scholarship, the will, the check, the gate, the click. She listened without flinching, then said something I hadn't let myself hear. Good fathers blame themselves first. That doesn't mean they're right. You have to live, Richard. Not for him. For you. We started with coffee, then walks, then dinners that tasted like hunger gone soft. I met her kids properly. Samuel and his basement command center. Amelia with climate facts in her pocket. Olivia with charcoal on her hands. Emma with a soccer ball that was basically a 5th limb. They started calling me Uncle Richard, then just Richard. Then Samuel slipped one night and said Dad, and Charlotte put a hand on his shoulder and said, It's okay. Love isn't a pie you run out of. We found a bigger rental with a sunroom for art and a yard for backyard leagues. We made Friday movie night and Sunday breakfast chaos. We learned the ordinary is beautiful when you've had your world emptied. And still at 3 a.m., heartbreak found ways to whisper. Someone at work mentioned a post, and against my better judgment, I looked. Triplets. Benjamin and Sophia had 3 boys, tiny tuxedo onesies. All the joy I had planned to carry to their doorstep sat in a drawer, silent. Do you think that's fair? I didn't reach out. I told myself I was respecting his boundary, even if it had been carved with lies. I told myself time would do what time does. I told myself a lot of things. 2 years and change after the wedding. A Tuesday fell soft as bread. I was in the yard with Emma running drills, Charlotte stirring sauce in the kitchen, the house humming with homework, and small arguments over nothing. A car rolled up to the curb. The doorbell rang. Charlotte called. I've got it. Then, a beat later. Richard, you need to come in. I knew before I knew. Benjamin stood in the doorway holding a baby. A double stroller with 2 more sat behind him. He looked 10 years older, hair looser, eyes red-rimmed like sleep had been rationed. Sophia sat in the passenger seat with her forehead on the glass and a bottle on the dash. Benjamin's voice cracked. Dad, I need to talk to you. Pattern interrupt. Every version of me lined up behind my ribs. The 19-year-old with a second-hand crib, the man at the gate, the stepdad learning how to braid hair badly, the guy who swore he'd never stop showing up. Charlotte moved to my side and took my hand. She didn't squeeze. She didn't steer. She just stood. I looked past him at the car, at the babies, at the thin line between pride and surrender on his face. I thought about Vincent, about the day a stranger chose mercy, and it changed everything. Come in, I said. We sat at our wobbly dining table like it was an emergency room. Charlotte made tea because that's what she does when the air feels fragile. The babies squeaked and blinked and reminded the room how new life sounds. Benjamin started talking. I won't give you details I don't own, but I'll tell you the shape of it. Sometimes truth catches up even when lies sprint out of the gate. Sometimes the person who poisoned the well drinks from it last. Sometimes the story you're sure is permanent cracks right where it was the most polished. He apologized. He didn't perform it. He let it shake the way real apologies do. He said I was cruel. He said I was wrong. He said I can't carry this alone anymore. And I cried too because manhood isn't a drought. If it were you, what would you have done? Here's what I did not do. I did not walk to the desk, open the drawer, and slide a check across the table like a magic trick. I didn't slam the door either. I took one of my grandsons from his arms, felt the weight of him, warm, heavy, smelling like tomorrow, and I said, "We start with dinner and sleep. Tomorrow we make a plan. The rest we will figure out slowly, carefully. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're railings on a high balcony. Forgiveness isn't a floodgate. It's a hinge you oil a little check twice and test with your shoulder before you lean your weight on it. Do you think forgiveness without accountability is just permission for the next hurt? Or can accountability grow from forgiveness offered before it's earned? The social part we don't like saying out loud, parental alienation, is real. So is the way money bends gravity around a family. So is the hunger some people have for proximity to a story that looks good on camera. Blood matters, yes, and so does the family that shows up when your blood tells you you're not invited. I won't pretend a door opening fixes a gate that's slammed. It doesn't, but it changes the weather inside your house. A satisfying ending right here would be me telling you I handed Benjamin the $55 million that night, and we lived happily ever after. Or that I burned the check by the grill and toasted marshmallows over it, justice served hot. I did neither. I closed the drawer and promised myself two things. I will protect everyone under this roof, and I will not let money decide what love should do. The check isn't a reward or a punishment. It's a legacy from a man who saw me in a lobby and chose to believe I could be the man he hoped I was. I won't use it to fix what words have to fix first. So tell me, if it were you, would you have opened the door? Would you have demanded an apology first? A plan, a time frame, a therapist, all of the above? Would you tie money to conditions or let it sit until trust earns its way back into the room? Do you think that's fair? I'm still in it. One grocery list, one babysitter schedule, one honest conversation at a time. Some nights I sleep like a rock. Some nights the gate click plays on loop. Most mornings a baby laughs and the loop breaks. That's enough for now. If this hits something in you, if you've ever stood outside a gate you helped pay for, if you've been cut out by someone who should have chosen you, if you've wrestled with mercy while your pride wanted a verdict, talk to me. Drop your city, take your story. Tell me what you would have done and why. Share this with someone who needs a second chance at a door that doesn't slam. And if you want the next chapter, what truth did to the lies, what boundaries we built, and what I finally chose to do with that check. Stick around, subscribe, notifications on. Your voice matters here. I'll be in the comments with you.